We decided to make the dress that she's wearing in an orange family of colors. And in order to accomplish that, I want the color of the dress to be right about here in the middle. But I've also collected 2 highlight colors and 2 more shadow tones that will help enhance that color that I want the dress to actually be. So I'm actually going to begin with a highlight tone, and I'm going to kind of think about where, again, just like with her skin, I want to think about where the light would be hitting this dress. So I'm going to put not right against the edge of the fabric, but along the top edge here, so you can see that where the light would be hitting. Each of these little fabric folds will probably have a little of the yellow showing. I'm just going to kind of put a little bit along the top edge of each of those. And then I'm also going to look at how this fabric is folding, where it's bellowing out. There's going to be some of that highlight color, and again, I'm keeping this pretty light, through the middle of that. So on this one, the highlight again is going to be through that center area. I have some that's going to hit from this one too, near the top edge of this, and then this one. Is anything going to be underneath the dress? No, this is a highlight. I could put a little bit here on her hip too. All right, so that's probably all the spots that I'm going to use this highlight tone. Now I'm going to go in with the next lighter color. Again, I still haven't started on the actual color of the dress, but now I'm going to place this next color around where I've put the highlights and a little bit over the top of the highlights, because I want this to be a blending of the colors. So I'm going to go kind of around and over those highlights. And this is all going to get enhanced when I go in with the actual dress color, but I do want to have these tones underneath, just like when we did the purple and the brown, but that starts to add to the dimension of the garment. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm making this more than just one value. I want to make sure that I'm getting, in this case, 5 different values worked into the detail of this dress. So I'm going to run this along the edges of the color on the highlight on the skirt, on each side of the highlight. So I'm leaving the yellow in the center, and I'm blending over the edge of the yellow and on each side. All right, so they're now, again, underneath here still probably wouldn't have any highlight tone. It's going to have more of these darker values. So now I have the 3 colors left, the color of the gown plus 2 shadow tones. So now I'm going to work with the color of the gown on this exterior. And this is going to get kind of a layer over everything. And I'm going to blend this up to the highlight area. And I'm taking a lot more care with how I'm applying this color, because this is the color that's going to establish the edges of the form and the lines within the garment. So I want to make sure that I'm using those small overlapping ovals, paying attention to the lines of the dress, where I've put the highlights and that the 2 colors of the highlights. And again, I'm going to just hit the edge of those little folds. I'm allowing the highlights to stay. I'm just running this alongside, but the whole dress is going to get, this is going to go everywhere. Because this is the actual dress color. colors. It's not going to be done in the first layer. All right, so now I have the colors in place that I want. It's not finished, but at least I've got the colors started in the right direction. Now I do want to address the underneath part of the skirt, and I'm going to start this time with, I'm going to start underneath here, and I'm going to put a layer of the dress color in first. This is kind of going to go and work in reverse in the shadow areas. So I'm going to put the dress color in first. So I've got the color of the dress in, so now I'm going to work with my two shadow tones to really bring that out. I do have to do some shadow work up in there too, but I want to start to enhance using this other orange, some deeper color, and I'm going to, obviously along the folds and under where it goes underneath the skirt part, right? It's going to have some shadow on there. So I'm going to let the bottom edge be the light color, but I want to take that shadow tone up into the skirt. And I could do a little behind the leg because the leg would be casting a shadow. I do have another shadow tone to go, so this will get darker on those upper parts. I'm going to let that blend out as it goes toward where the sunlight might be, or daylight would be hitting the bottom edge of that skirt there. And I'm going to add some shadow where the leg would cast a bit shadow there. This is going to be darker in there, darker there. I'm just going to get a little bit of an edge here, just like we did on the other side. So it starts to give a little bit of shadow underneath the dress. So now I want to hit these little folds of fabric are going to cast just a slight shadow. And I'm holding very close to the point where I've been holding away from the point for most of the time just to get softness. But this time I'm holding it right next to the point so I can get more control. Going along each of those little edges, a little shadow where this fabric overlap. That fabric's on top of that one, so this would have a little bit of shadow there. This would have shadow under the arms. Along the edges of the gown. Remember, this is not the color of the dress. This is just the accent color. So now I need to look at how these fabrics bellow out. And I'm going to go along where the shadow, like this is probably casting a shadow onto there. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow tone there. This fabric comes out and around, so I know this is going to be shadowed under there and along this edge there. And again, it's soft. You know, you don't want it to be a harsh shadow, it's blended. And then one more wrinkle along here. And then we can start working with the darker shadow color. Now this darker shadow color, I'm going to be enhancing a lot of the places that I've already worked with. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm getting any of these fold back areas. I've already got color on them, but I want to make sure that I'm getting that next step darker on those. And this is like a brown, but it's really like a very dark orangey brown. So I want to again work with the same areas that last color went. enhance those areas under the arm, along where that fabric folds over. I'm going to hit these little edges again, just get that shadow along here. So just along the edge of the folds, I'm going to add just a bit of this color. Dress. I'm not completely finished yet because we need to talk about the complementary color. So on the color wheel in the classroom, you can use that as a tool to make decisions about color choices. That's what the color wheel is all about. It's a tool for helping artists choose colors. And colors have relationships, just like you have relationships with friends, people you get along with, people you don't. So color is very much the same. And so we have different color groupings that have names that we can work with. In this case, so far, we've been working with what's called analogous colors. So these are all colors that are related to each other, and these all kind of circle around the same family of orange, right? So this is a color family known as analogous colors. We're going to be working with the complement in a minute. So complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other on the wheel. So if this is an orange dress, the complementary color of orange is blue. So we're actually going to be using a blue pencil to enhance some of our values that we've already put in place. So I am trying to find my indigo blue. And okay, here it is. And I want to use this indigo blue. It's a little, not very sharp, but I want to just glaze in. Now, when I say glaze in, very, very, very light pressure, just in the shadow areas. So in this case, under the dress is going to be where it's darkest. So I'm just doing a soft, can you see that just kind of kicks that color up just enough that it's noticed. I don't want to make the dress change to blue. I just want to enhance the color that's already there to get that shadow tone pushed up a notch in color and in contrast. And I'm going to use this blue just a little bit in the shadow areas very subtly. Again, really, really soft. And you don't need much of it. It should be very softly applied and just a hint of it. All right, so at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about my color overall, but now I want to go back in with the actual color of the dress. This is that pale vermilion that I was using before, and I'm really going to step up the pressure and kind of blend over the whole dress. And this should start to blend everything out so that we have a true orange dress with highlights and shadows. All right, so there's my finished drawing. I've got an orange dress and a girl with finished skin tones and finished hair. So this is a finished drawing. So you can see the layering that's happened with 5 colors on the dress. I think there were 6 colors on the skin and 3 on the hair.